Welcome to a Simple Therapy podcast. Real conversations, brave stories, and simple soulful insights for therapists and anyone on a healing journey. I'm Sindee Gozansky, licensed therapist, supervisor, and a fellow human figuring it out too. Around here, we believe healing doesn't have to be complicated, and that leading with your heart still matters. We talk about what it really means to be human in and out of the therapy room. You'll hear from therapists, mental health professionals, and people courageously sharing their personal healing journeys. Because whether you're the therapist or the client, we're all human here. Let's keep it simple and keep showing up. Have you ever replayed a session in your mind over and over, wondering if you said the wrong thing? If so, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're talking about something so many therapists experience but don't always talk about openly, and that is overthinking in our clinical work. Hello and welcome to a Simple Therapy podcast. I'm Sindee Gozansky, your host. Every therapist carries stories, questions, moments that stay with us long after our session ends. And in this space, we're going to slow things down, reflect, get curious about the internal world of us, the therapist. Because when we begin to notice what's happening within us, we're going to show up more clearly for the people sitting across from us. So let's talk about what overthinking looks like for therapists. Often overthinking as a therapist doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it might be something like thinking, did I miss something important? I should have said that differently. What if I handled that wrong? Are they getting what they need from me? And it doesn't just stay in the therapy room. It follows us into the car ride home, into our evenings, maybe into our sleep. You might replay a moment, that pause, that intervention. Oh, what about that facial expression my client made? How was my face looking? And you try to analyze it from every angle. Not because you don't care. It's because you care so much. We care so much about our clients and wanting to help them. That's one of the main impulses to our overthinking. Overthinking often shows up strongest in therapists who are deeply attuned, highly responsible, and so committed to doing good work. But here's the thing. Caring deeply and overthinking are not the same thing. So, why do we overthink? It doesn't just come from the session itself. It's often rooted in something deeper. Let's talk about, first, the weight of responsibility. That's pretty deep. As therapists, we hold real impact in people's lives. And this awareness can quietly turn into pressure for us. That pressure looks like, I need to get this right. Maybe you're second-guessing yourself, starting to overthink more than usual because of this responsibility, tremendous responsibility for your clients' lives, wanting to help them. Then we have the fear of causing harm. And even with training and experience, there's often a background fear. What if I make it worse? Okay, the big one, perfectionism in the therapy room. Boy, don't I hear this a lot, especially when I'm training students or working with newer therapists. There's the idea that I need to do the right intervention. I need to do the proper one, the correct intervention in order to get a perfect response. When in reality, therapy is relational, not performative. Take that in for a second. Therapy is relational, not performative. It doesn't matter how perfect you're doing something. What matters is how you show up and connect. All right, another one is our own stories. Sometimes overthinking is less about the client and more about us. Those of you who have heard me talk know I'm very big on our part, the self of therapist part, the countertransference part. So we can explore moments in session that activate our own self-doubt, our own need for approval, our own fears of not being enough. And then suddenly, we're not just reflecting, we're spiraling. All right. So what is the quiet cost of overthinking? It can feel productive. It feels like we're being reflective, we're being thoughtful, intentional. And then it often crosses a line. And that line gets crossed when it starts to cost us things like emotional exhaustion, starting to feel a little burnt out, having difficulty being present in the next session, or the lingering self-doubt that doesn't just stay with that one client, but starts to then filter over into the next one and the next one. And also very important cost is our disconnection from our own clinical intuition. So this can make us forget something really, really important. Again, that therapy is not about getting it perfect. It's about being human, present, and attuned. Your presence matters more than any perfectly worded or executed intervention. All right. So what's the good news here? We're going to gently shift out of this loop of overthinking. And it's not just, let's stop it, right? It's not just a very simple CBT thing like you have to stop overthinking. When you start overthinking, let's replace that thought or replace the action because it's not going to work in this case. Instead, it's about noticing and softening. And we do this with our clients too, but we need the lesson for ourselves as therapists when we're working in the room. So I'm going to share a few gentle shifts for trying to let go of the overthinking. First is naming it. Just name what's happening. Oh, I'm replaying this session again. You know what? It's totally fine to go into supervision or to consult with a therapist and say, hey, I keep replaying this session. Can we talk about it? Suddenly, you've interrupted the overthinking loop. Another way to name it. I'm trying to figure out if I got it right. When you start having that thought, you could say, oh, I'm stuck in a loop right now. So again, this is just like we do in our work with clients. We're trying to not judge it, just to notice it. Today's episode is brought to you by Berries, the HIPAA-compliant note-taking platform that makes your therapy documentation effortless. I am using Berries now with my group practice, and it is amazing. Berries says goodbye to the burden of mental health notes using automated note creation. You simply record your notes or record your session, and the platform instantly transforms them into a fully customizable format. Plus, your recordings are not stored, ensuring complete privacy. Berries is personalized, affordable, and comes with an extremely generous trial period. And for listeners of this podcast, use the code Sindee50, that's SINDEE 50, for $50 off your first month. With Berries, you can reclaim your time and focus on what matters most, your clients, not your notes. It's truly made me enjoy being a therapist again. I encourage you to check out the link in the show notes for Berries. Use my discount code, Sindee50, and get started today. Another softening technique, I hate to call it a technique, but let's just say another way to reduce some of our overthinking is to try to separate out reflection versus rumination. So, here are a few questions for this. Ask yourself, is this helping me learn? Or is this keeping me stuck? Okay? Is this helping me learn something and grow because of this quotes overthinking that I'm doing? Or is it keeping me stuck? So reflection could sound like, here's something I want to bring into supervision. I want to reflect on this. I want to be able to learn and grow. Rumination is going to sound like, I should have known better. Why didn't I catch that? What was I thinking? I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I made that statement in this session, or that I didn't say something to my client, and you start rethinking again and again. I should have done it differently. I should have known better. Okay, so do you see the difference with reflection and rumination? Reflection moves us forward And rumination keeps us circling. You can use this with your clients as well, guys, right? Like this is all the same. What's going to move us forward also moves them forward, reflecting for the purpose of tolerating a little bit of discomfort, that discomfort and overthinking for growth and learning, versus ruminating that keeps you stuck in patterns, stuck in the same loop. All right. Another shift with overthinking is to come back to the relationship, to come back to this beautiful therapeutic relationship with your client. Instead of, did I say it right? Was that the best intervention? Here's what I'd love for you to try. Was I present? Did my client feel seen? Was there a moment of connection that we had in the session? Because often, in fact, I would almost say all the time, what stays with our clients are those things: the connection, the feeling seen, being present. Another shift that, of course, I really embrace a lot as a supervisor is to let supervision hold for you these issues so you don't have to carry it alone. Bring your overthinking, bring that rumination to supervision so we can help you shift it into reflection. So you don't have to process this over again in isolation, in loneliness. You don't have to process this by yourself in the car, at night, over coffee, while you're running, while you're exercising. Instead, do it with your supervisor or a trusted colleague that you can consult with so you don't carry it alone. And this is what we do in therapy with our clients. We help them not carry it alone. And so it's the same thing. That moment that you can't stop thinking about in session is exactly what supervision is for. Not because you did something wrong, but because you care enough to stay thoughtful about your work. Okay? You didn't do anything wrong. I really, really want you to hear this. It's because you're thinking about this incident or intervention or thing you said or didn't say so much because you care so much and because you're so thoughtful about your work and you want so much to help your client. And here's even the script you can use with your supervisor. I keep replaying this part of the session, and I'm not sure why. Simple as that. In fact, I probably should add that to my supervision template with my students because I think that'd be really good, something for us to work on, right? I keep replaying this part of the session, and I'm not sure why. I guarantee there's going to be something meaningful underneath that. And finally, all of these are my favorite. Maybe this is my favorite of all. Give yourself permission to be a human therapist, a human heart-centered therapist, not a perfect one. To be a therapist who pauses sometimes, who misses things sometimes, who goes back and repairs when needed, who slows your client down and says, help me understand something. You just said something really important and I don't want to miss it. And you can also say to yourself, and this is where we flip the script on imposter syndrome. You can say to yourself, I'm allowed to still be learning. I'm learning. We're learning at every stage in our lives as therapists because each client is new. And so eventually you're not going to feel that imposter syndrome that can lead to overthinking because you're in this reflective learning zone. Say to yourself, I can care deeply without needing to get it perfect because the goal isn't perfection, it's presence. So, thank you for listening if you've gotten this far with me. If this resonates for you, here are a few questions to sit with. What moments in your work do you tend to replay the most? What are you afraid those moments say about you? And what would it feel like to trust my presence more than my performance. This is one area in our lives where your presence matters more than your performance. So what would it be like to trust that? As we wrap up, I just want to help you understand that overthinking without judgment is actually an important part of therapist well-being because we need to understand it. And when we understand it, then we can start to notice these patterns and create the space to respond differently, to respond in a reflective way, to respond not perfectly, but more gently, more intentionally, more sustainably, and not in isolation. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you can take something from this topic of overthinking and how to shift it into your next session and into your week. And until then, remember to keep it simple and keep showing up. Thanks for listening to A Simple Therapy podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs it. Your support means so much. You can learn more or get in touch at asimpletherapypodcast.com. And remember, let's keep it simple and keep showing up.